got people waiting for us, getting hit up here, man. People are like, where are you at?
No, we don't.
Yeah, man, people are out there. What's with the new link on Twitter? Is that like broken? At least a broken link down there. All right.
Whose little pop-up sounds am I hearing?
It's me for some reason. I don't know why. But that is, oh, holy crap, my mic isn't even in the right place. Man, I am so scatterbrained today. Good God. Oh, I haven't even put the tweet out yet. Okay, let me move my mic. Alright. Hey, office manager, go lay down. Alright. Alrighty. Let's kick this bad boy off. I'm gonna check streams one more time. Recording. And recording. And recording. Alright, everything looks good. We are 100% broadcasting.
Clappity clappity check.
Good call. Pop check. 3, 2, 1. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Alright. Pull up my little intro again. Try to see if I can read through this again. You're listening to episode 188 of PHP Ugly, and despite what the title may lead you to believe, we are 3 passionate PHP developers who make a living coding. We get together every week to discuss coding, projects, tech, work, and running a small business, and pretty much anything else that happens to catch our interest. From time to time, you might even hear one of us rant about Simver. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me, as always, are my good friends, Thomas Rideout.
Hello, hello, hello.
And John Congdon.
Semver. What does that mean? What is the purpose of Semver?
Semantic versioning?
Yeah. Taylor sent out a tweet today, and I'm like pretty sure he's directing it at Thomas every time he sends it out.
Oh, no.
He just sends out a tweet, he goes, just my monthly reminder, the release cycle of Laravel has not changed. Only the numbering has changed. I'm like, I feel like that's a targeted tweet at my boy Thomas.
Well, I mean, we've had this conversation.
Every week we have this conversation.
Yeah. Well, if they didn't keep releasing new versions every week. By the way, this week's version is 7.8.
Yep.
I should probably upgrade my application. I think I tried once and it was very bad.
You can't keep up.
Just run.
Well, I'm on 3.2 right now. I should upgrade a little bit.
Composer upgrade every week, man. Don't turn your camera off now. It's too late. We saw you.
Yeah, the hair is not looking great. I've noticed both of you are managing the COVID hair just fine.
Look at John. John's looking. That beard is coming in good on him. See, that's what I wish I had right there. He has the upper mustache, nice
the
and
Anderson
connected
Cooper?
to the lower. Oh yeah, got the gray, just a little gray, not like this whole
gray
thing.
It's that clean living.
Yeah.
I got all this, like, it's just all patchy right there.
It looks good, man.
I got my own issues.
I'd kiss you. Let me see you. Let's get physically close to each other again.
Are you guys doing anything with the end of the stay-at-home order, or are you guys still on stay-at-home for...
Staying at home as long as possible. Yeah. I think it's ridiculous that it's being lifted as soon as it is.
I'm going to a party tomorrow.
Huh.
What?
Are you serious? It's probably the last thing you should be doing.
It is all people I know very well who have been 100% as safe as I have. And...
There's no such thing as 100%.
And we are doing social distancing. We are doing social distancing at the party.
Everybody's going to wear a tube around themselves so they can't get physical.
Are you wearing a mask to the party?
No. But if anyone coughs, they're kicked out of the party.
We've been having some of our neighbors have been doing like social or happy hour social distancing or social distancing happy hours. Everyone going out to the street and like standing around drinking wine and talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't made it to any of those yet.
That's
I
very
haven't been
similar to what
invited
we're going to be
either,
doing.
but
I did my first virtual happy hour with my friends up in Canada. It was fun. It was us and our wives, and we talked for a couple hours. It was actually a lot of fun. And then yesterday, last evening or afternoon for me, but evening for them, I attended the virtual meetup for almost the entire East Coast. It felt like, but it was the Greater Toronto area, that whole region, Buffalo. I forget who else they said was there, but yeah, there were like 6 or 7 user groups who held a virtual meetup last night, and I popped on. It was cool. I popped on, and people recognized me, and they were like, "Hey, that voice sounds familiar. We know you." That was very, very cool. They had like I don't know if they ever reached 100, but it was bouncing because they did Hangouts, which was a mistake because Hangouts is very difficult to monitor. But they had some troubles early on. It took some time to get everybody knocked out of there who weren't there for the right reasons. But you see how many people are online. It was bouncing between like 65 to 80. I mean, people were coming and going, but there was a good amount of people online. It was Livewire again. What's his name? Jesus, what's his name? I can remember it when we're not on the air.
Don't know. No, I'm not going to help you.
Damn it.
Because I don't know.
I like that guy too. Come on, help me out.
I missed that one, so I don't know.
Caprizi.
You should have offered up our Zoom account.
I did. I told him if they do it again, let me know. I'll let them use the. I'll get them a Zoom account and set up some administrators so that they can monitor it better. But because Zoom, you can mute everybody when they join and not give them the option to unmute. That was the biggest problem with Hangouts. There was no way to do that. So
yeah, it's nice you can let everyone in for like socializing for the beginning and then mute everybody for the actual presentation.
Yeah.
So it's a good option.
Caleb, that's who it is. Caleb from Livewire. He does Alpine JS. He's the guy that did sushi. Excuse me. I wanted to talk to him a little bit about sushi. Talk to him about the little issue you and I found, John. But I didn't. I had to drop because you were calling me John.
Oh yeah.
We ended up jumping on a business call that afternoon.
Oh, was it yesterday afternoon? Can't even remember what that was about.
Yeah, it was about the
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those things. Yeah.
It's fun running a business, man. I tell
yeah,
you.
you guys sound like you've been working on some annoying stuff.
Not annoying, just challenging.
I've had a couple of things this week. I've had a first. It was a first for me.
What was your first?
It was a first as far as I know. I was blocked by somebody I respect on Twitter. I've never been blocked as far as I know.
O.J. Simpson?
Yeah, he doesn't check my Twitter, apparently.
Nah. So I don't even know if I should name him. I mean, again, I respect him, and I hope that things change and we get a chance to talk again at a conference because we, talked quite a few times.
Well, if they blocked you, that's putting it out there. You can just say Taylor.
It wasn't Taylor. It wasn't Taylor. It's one of those things where I can disagree with somebody and still be friends. I mean, hell, I'm friends with you guys, and I wholeheartedly disagree with you on this topic. And we were having a back and forth, and he said, "I thank you for being clear and honest." Block. Like, okay.
To your defense,
So-
John, I will say to your defense, you don't get preachy about the topic. We're talking about your veganism beliefs, right? I mean,
Yeah, so I tweeted out that I was happy to see on the Today Show that some the meat industry is in
Yeah.
trouble.
I saw your tweet on that one for sure.
Yeah. And
I don't. For the record, I mean, again, just kind of show how we can disagree on this topic. I don't agree with that tweet. I think there are concerns that we need to address, naming, people, access to food, blah blah blah. I get your belief. You think that the plant industry can handle it. I'm saying that if it were to hit today, they couldn't. They're not positioned to do it, and we would have a serious shortage of food in this. Fine. You think I'm wrong? I know I'm right. Whatever. But the point being, I definitely don't agree with you on that. And even that statement, as much as I don't agree with it, I don't really think it was that harsh of a statement. I was surprised at the response, but also I that's one way to weed people out quickly. I mean, it's like, hey, the first moment there's like a little friction, block them.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's true. The question is, what was the intended impact of the tweet? Because if it was to just identify the people who will block you for it, then goal achieved.
No, I don't know. It really was just. It was that his response was, I was happy about somebody going out of business, and in this case, I am happy about it. I'm fine with it. I did have another friend point out that their view is, or it would be as if somebody that was happy Planned Parenthood is being shut down. And I understand.
That is yeah. I mean, I see that association for sure.
Yeah, I can see that, and I can be I'm pro-choice. And if I have friends that are pro-life, I can be friends even if I disagree. I can still have a conversation and talk, or avoid that topic altogether and still be friends.
I just think, from friend to friend, I honestly think that now is not the time to make a point of, oh, hey, this is not that bad. This is going to be awesome. I mean, we're going through a lot of shit right now. I felt it was a poor timing on your part to make that comment. But, that said, it's not like I'm not going to touch you for the next month. Oh, wait, maybe I won't.
No more late night makeout sessions.
Nope. Always ready for a one-on-one conversation with anybody about it.
I'm not interested in that conversation on any level.
I know you are not. And my problem with you and I on the conversation is we had the conversation over a year ago now, and I wasn't as prepared then to have that conversation. But
any opinions on social media, it's a dangerous road to tread.
Completely fine.
Facebook lately has been
exactly Gishu.
Bad. I've really
I don't want to
spiral
too far down the hole on negativity on this show, so I'll go ahead and finish your thought.
So you're telling us you invented a time machine?
I'm just saying, I'm not looking to spend the whole show bitching and complaining about things.
I'm surprised at the number of people that I know that I thought I understood their political positions, or at least their political leaning, and I'm finding out that I am completely wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm also finding that the people who quote false and misleading articles are by far the ones who say fake news the loudest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've engaged a bit this week, and it's amazing what people are willing to repeat and not understand that by repeating it, they've invalidated their position completely.
Yeah, I had this conversation recently as well, where I choose not to unfollow or unfriend people like that on Facebook. My wife complains all the time when, I complain about somebody. She's like, "Why are you still friends? You don't know this person well enough, or you're not in their life anymore." But to me, I don't want to be siloed into a single mindset. I don't want to only hear my side of the story. I want to hear everything. And I often take information shared by friends that I don't agree with. I will go do a little research, find out they're wrong, and usually just not do anything. I'm just like, it's often like a, really? That happened? Wait a second, let me go look. That didn't really happen. It's part of me. There's been plenty of times where I've started typing a response, like, do some research and paste the link, and then I back it out. Like, it's not worth it. They're not going to change their mind. They're just seeing a meme and sharing it. But I do take the time to see what they're sharing and then try to inform myself on whatever it is.
Yeah, a friend of mine has just started responding to everything with Dunning-Kruger. Just Dunning-Kruger is the effect of intelligent people having less confidence in the things they know than unintelligent people.
Okay.
So the more you know, the more you question what you know. The less you know, the more loud you are about how right you are.
Okay.
And that's an excellent way to just, like, you do the research, you prove to yourself that they're wrong, and then you just reply Dunning-Kruger, and if they care to do the research as to what that means, then your point is completely well made.
That's funny. The other big piece of news just before we not just before we started recording, but earlier today, I thought I was gonna have to fire somebody.
Why? What'd Eric do?
Well, first of all, that's another topic. He brought somebody to us. And he's like, "This person would make a great CTO." Please don't tell me I'm fired. No, I found a secret spot that I could take my kids daily, or not daily, but a few times a week. Nobody there. It's the high school parking lot near my house. Wide open. The kids can go ride their bikes and not get anywhere near another person. It's been fantastic. I take them there tonight, and I just get a message on Slack, and then I get a text from Eric saying, "Major issue, are you available?" I'm like, He never writes to me like that. He never calls me especially after hours, to tell me there's something going on. And so I immediately like, what the fuck, what's going on? I'm not near a computer. What can happen? So he starts writing to me. Yeah, somebody got onto a production server and decided to run rm-rf/.
Didn't decide.
No, they decided. I'm going to copy and paste from Stack Overflow onto the server.
Oh.
And let's see what happens. And of course, everyone logs in as root. So
it was that sort of afternoon.
Yeah, so that was not fun.
How bad?
I mean, it was rm-rf/. It was that bad.
But did you have, like, backups or, like, a hot server?
Oh, yeah, we have a backup from 2 years ago.
So the issue is, to be clear, that this server was part of a pool. However, this in particular server had some extra functionality attached to it for purposes of the environment. So it was part of a pool. It was a duplicate of like 4 other servers. It just happened to be the one server that we added some extra sauce to do a couple of extra things. And that was the remote of that was the crutch of this. Had he done it to any of the other web servers, it wouldn't even been an issue, because those can be spun up in a matter of minutes, and either way they're load balanced. It was this one particular server that, as a post-mortem, we're kind of going back and saying, okay, now we have to make sure we have a job to back this up, and back this up. And of course, that's hindsight. That's easy to see after something goes bad. So it wasn't fun. We weren't happy about it, but you know what?
And I'm sure all our listeners know what rm-rf/ is, but basically they erased the entire hard drive.
Yeah, this is a Linux machine, And it's my understanding you can't do that now. Of course, this is an older image on Amazon, so
I was wondering about that.
apparently
You're thinking
it
of
was still
SE
enabled.
Linux, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't
SE
no.
Linux will
I
try to
think
stop
standard
you.
Linux now you can't do it. Hey, you try it on your machine, Thomas. Just try it, see what happens. Pretty sure you'll be okay. But I think standard Linux now doesn't allow you to do it. And
I think it is an SE Linux thing, and I'm terrible about always disabling SE Linux because it is so restrictive, and I don't understand it enough because I'm a developer, not a sysadmin.
It's tricky.
and John brought it up. It's funny, man. I've been drinking my beer too fast. I apologize. It's been a long afternoon. I'm sorry. But John brought it up, and I thought about it in hindsight. All the bells and whistles that Amazon has,
Not
and Amazon
LOL
tries to
issue.
and Amazon tries to sell you on. One bell and whistle that they don't have that DigitalOcean has and is like drop dead simple are server backups. In
Yeah.
DigitalOcean, you just say, "Hey, back up the server every night," and it takes a snapshot every night. And Amazon, unless I'm missing something, there's no way to do it. Now you can do it in RDS. RDS does it. You can do it. I believe you can even do it with your attached storage, but the actual server you can't do it to. Which is weird. It's like really. Have you ever seen all the services Amazon offers? It's they're running
It's
out of
mind-boggling.
screen real estate to show it all.
And in the fact that one checkbox could make them a ton of money. I mean, I think DigitalOcean charges 10% to do a nightly backup.
I think it's just whatever the disk space is. I don't think it's that much, but yeah, it's worth it. You sleep easier at night.
Did you just see Gishu's response? I think it was Gishu. He
Yeah.
recommended aliasing rm-rf/ to
That's
something else.
That's a great idea. We should make that part of our daily
I-
our regular installs.
I wonder if you can do that.
Right. All right, let's machine. Yeah, you can totally do that. Matter of fact, the
But how? Because the alias is for a single command, and once you put spaces in there, it's not a single command anymore.
no, you can encapsulate an alias in quotes. So you do, oh, I see what you're saying.
You'd have to write a globally scoped script called RM that validates the input first and then passes it on to the real RM script.
Yeah.
I took shell scripting this week.
Nice. Did you do that through your little course?
Yeah, this week was Vue.js, shell scripting, and I am now enrolled in pre-calculus on edX.
Nice. Are you going to continue this learning now that your free month is quickly coming to an end? Like tonight?
Yeah, I feel the need to. The Vue stuff, it was like so easy, except for Vuex, which is their storage system.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of it was just like easy, which it wasn't the last time I looked at Vue.
Mm-hmm. It's addicting though, right? That's how I am with Udemy. It's like I start buying courses there, and the next thing I know, I've spent, $100, $200 just buying courses.
Yeah, it is addictive, and I think Pluralsight is just a one subscription buys all content.
Look into that because I Udemy kills me, and they've got the business model, man. They know that they have me hooked, and they keep saying, "Oh, hey, by the way, that Python course you were interested in, it's 90% off today." Oh shit, let me buy that.
We have a subscription to Lynda. Have you looked at any courses on there?
Yeah, that's another thing I got addicted to. Yeah.
Linda or Lydia?
Lynda.
I think it's Linda.
lynda.com.
I mean, there's a lot of resources, but it's been a really nice way to spend time, and doing like the code along practices is very satisfying.
And it gives you that nice, like whatever you happen to be interested in at that time. It's easy. We know the resources for our specialties, and we can get laser focus on those. But every now and then, you want your brain to stretch and do something else, and
Yeah.
it's.
I think I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna end up passing on the pre-calculus stuff. The interface for doing it is not very friendly, and the instructions are not very clear, and I might just end up going to like some YouTube or Khan Academy thing for it. But I don't know. If I want, I can upgrade it to an accredited course and get course credit for it for some reason.
Okay.
If I cared, I don't know if I do. Speaking of postmortems, you guys were talking about a postmortem on your RF server. I've got a postmortem on Is Promise, a node package that for some reason everybody uses, even though it only provides one line of content, and it broke everybody's node stuff on Saturday.
Oh, really? Was it an incremental update? I'm just wondering.
No, wasn't even that. He was trying to get continuous integration working and bring in future support for backward compatibility as well as future versions of Node. And I don't understand any of the stuff that's going on here. There's a .mjs file that he updated. He had updated his npm ignore file. It's just a thing that he had done and then immediately made himself unavailable. And it broke everyone's stuff. It's called isPromise because it just returns whether or not an object being passed into it is a promise. And it's literally like a single line of code. And I'm struggling to understand why this exists in the Node ecosystem. Why people are importing one-line helpers by the thousands.
I don't know, man. I mean, that's like that whole, what was it, left padding one?
Yeah, this is exactly the same as the left padding issue.
Fortunately,
Fortunately, he got the issue resolved in 3 hours. But in that 3 hours, everything broke. What I did find interesting about the whole thing was that he basically said, I made lots of mistakes. Here's the mistakes I made. And he wrote up an entire post-mortem on what he did wrong and then a breakdown action by action for that 3 hour period on how he fixed it and how he rolled back and ended up building the functionality he intended to build in. And then the steps that he took to prevent this from happening in the future. Mm-hmm. So it's a great read if you're distributing something that people rely on. You need to understand what it is that goes wrong, because he kind of did everything wrong in this instance.
I don't know, man. I don't care enough about Node or JavaScript stuff to have a.
It's next on my list, man. I gotta learn Node.
I got to play in some JavaScript this week. And I gotta tell you, it's not like the JavaScript I know from years ago. I forget how little JavaScript I've done in the past, 4, 5, 6 years. I've done the bare minimum to get by, but things have changed so much.
Yeah, I'm fully ES6 now. My habits break down to short function tags and all the ES6 syntax stuff that I've been learning for the last year. So I'm really in that zone now.
Personally, between Livewire and the new Laravel Vue components, my goal is to do no JavaScript for the next year. And I feel like it's achievable.
It's achievable because you have somebody else doing front-end work for you.
I'm telling you, there's Livewire.
There are certain... I guess I still need to see Livewire because I don't understand what it's doing for you that...
Livewire, I've been touting that for months now. And yeah, you definitely need to get your head around Livewire. To me, it's a game changer in the framework ecosystem. And Laravel just happens to have it. There's rumblings that Other people want to try to port it to other frameworks, and I think that's great. But as of today, Laravel is the only thing that has anything like Livewire, and it's not even Laravel has it. It's built for Laravel. I still think that they need to integrate this to the core code base and try to optimize it a little bit more. But regardless, it's there. Livewire rocks my world. Recently,
what is it doing for you? That's what I'm missing. I'm missing.
So basically, what it's doing is it's allowing they're not WebSockets, but it's giving you that WebSocket sort of feel, and allowing you to write all your logic in controllers. So let's just say, I don't know, I'm doing this from the hip, but let's say you have a dashboard that shows new users. Well, that dashboard can be a Livewire component, and every time a new user signs up, it automatically updates. Just like JavaScript. It's just a PHP translator for JavaScript. I mean, under the hood, Livewire is doing the JavaScript for you, and it just allows you to update any piece of your page, just like you would do with JavaScript.
But there's updating a piece of your page is different than doing actual work that JavaScript does.
I can't think of anything, any actual work JavaScript does that I can't do in PHP. I mean, you give me an example of something.
Asynchronous
that's
calls.
That's what Livewire's doing. I'm telling you. You guys.
It's doing it in JS.
So the thing I worked on this week, somebody else built it. I had to work within it, but there's a contact manager. You have a list of contacts. You're checking off boxes, and then you choose to do an action on those. Mm-hmm. So the JavaScript is figuring out what you've checked. Did you check, kind of like in your Google Mail, if you check all, then you have to drop down to say, I want not just what's on the screen, but all that's within this folder or all my mail. So we have that functionality. Mm-hmm. You can do that with Livewire?
I mean, you're painting me in a corner here. I would say yes, but I don't have that much experience with it. I mean, nothing you told me seems like anything Livewire couldn't do. And then
what Livewire is doing is taking components of your page and wrapping them in an Ajax layer so that your whole page doesn't necessarily re-render unless the person doesn't support Ajax, in which case it's just a regular link. So when you have a link on a page and that link leads to another page that just has a slightly expanded content view, instead of rendering a whole new page for that component, it makes an Ajax call to your controller to render that component only. And it replaces the contents of that component with the newly rendered component.
I don't know. Devin agrees with Eric and says you can do what I was saying. So
I've always liked Devin. I mean, I've known him for about 15 minutes now, but he's a pretty solid person.
Well, what it's really doing is it's taking what you would normally do in JavaScript and doing it in an Ajax call so that you can write it in PHP instead of JavaScript.
Promise me this, John. If I send you the Livewire, it's on Laracast. If I send you the Livewire,
it's in the show notes.
If I send you the Livewire link again, promise me over the next by next show you'll watch it.
I will watch it.
Give me your opinion. And then, like I said, on top of that, I've been doing a lot of front-end work lately, which, as John mentioned, I'm not a huge fan of. But to help combat that, I've also been bringing myself up to speed with the new, in Laravel 7, the new Vue components. So Livewire works off components. You actually create a Livewire component. But Laravel also has Vue components, which is a mind-bend game changer for me. So again, the thing with Vue components is it's always been challenging. Like the best use case that I can think of is actually one of the reasons I'm going to be using it is you have like a sidebar on the website, right? And it has a lot of dynamic content in it. Maybe it's picking up latest post. It's getting a Twitter feed, whatever. You know, it's got live content there, and you cache it, but you know it needs to be updated every now and then. Before, you know, the way there was some quirkiness on how you had to handle that. You could make calls to controllers in those views if you broke down your views correctly, which always felt kind of icky. Whatever. You could pass the data to each view as part of the payload, which we were talking about last week, how our rookie developers would work on our community project and we'd get an idea of how they did things. And I've been in there refactoring. That's how he was doing something. Like everything that had to be on a page for every controller, he was packaging up as part of the payload that he was passing to that page, which was just absurdly, you know, redundant. But what Vue components allow you to do is very much like Livewire components. You can create a component called recent post, which actually will have an associated controller with it, and that associated controller, you can put whatever logic in there that you need for that component. So if you have to go grab your posts, you have to organize them, clean them up, whatever. Who's that?
Who's in a jumbo jet?
Me.
Is that you, Joe?
That's me.
Wow. I'll edit that out in post. You can put whatever logic you want in the view component controller. That whatever's in that controller, whatever you're returning, is automatically shared with that view component. So there's no additional work to do. All you do is you then include that component into your layout view, whatever you want to, you know, wherever you want to put it, and it's so clean, dude. I've been playing with it. I got deep into it today. I actually had to reach out to some friends because I was getting too deep. I was getting lost in what I was trying to do. But Nuno, again, my buddy up, I guess he's in Buffalo now, but I reached out to him because the meetup we were at yesterday, Freck had shared a link, and I had needed to get that link back. But I am like I said, between Livewire and Vue components, my world has been changed forever. I'm not going to say I've given up on JavaScript, trying to learn JavaScript, or I've even given up on Vue.js. Vue.js is a fantastic framework. We took on a new client that has a lot of React. I've been having to kind of get myself familiar with React. Those are all great frameworks, but I don't know, man. I'm losing arguments on why it's so important to get an understanding of a JavaScript framework. That's how I feel about
it. Because you need to know Node to get your next job. I heard there's a Canadian I'm supposed to hire as a CTO. I'm just saying.
This is why nobody likes you, John.
This is the inside jokes episode.
Yeah, totally inside jokes.
How's it inside? We told you what it was 20 minutes ago.
People listening now weren't listening 20 minutes ago. Come on, you know our show. They're like 5-minute sprints. People listen to us.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm going to have to look into this Vue components thing, and I'm going to have to look at Caleb Porzio's presentation on Livewire.
When you're saying
you haven't looked at this yet?
No.
God, I'm willing to accept John ignores me week after week, but you hurt a little bit. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
I've been busy.
When you say Vue components, are you talking about Vue? Are you talking about Vue, VUE, the JavaScript framework components? Okay. Not something new with Laravel.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I've got front-end people that have been like blowing my mind with Vue and what they can do with it.
I would be curious to somebody to present me something in, I guess maybe animation is something you could do in JavaScript that Livewire and PHP couldn't handle. I'll give you that, but but I don't know, real logic, like business logic. Somebody needs to give me a use case of, hey, this is something you couldn't do with Livewire and PHP, because I tell you what, that is a broad brush that covers a lot of stuff in my personal opinion. And I will give you a gripe I have, though, because since I have it on the brain now, I mentioned that we took on a new client. They're big in React. They're a Laravel shop, but they never bought into the Vue approach, and they use a lot of React. I like this client. I like the guy I'm working with a lot, but they also have an enterprise level GitHub account, so they don't have like the normal GitHub. And I'm realizing now, working on this project, how incredibly spoiled I've gotten using automation. So my automation tool, Zapier, is the big one I've been using. I've broken down and I've paid for a Zapier account because I use it that heavily. Zapier integrates with everything. I mean, like services I have never heard of, Zapier integrates with. It won't integrate with the GitHub Enterprise account. And the weirdest thing is, there's no difference between the GitHub Enterprise and GitHub. I mean, I'm willing to bet all the APIs are the same.
Yeah, but you don't have access to that server necessarily. Like, Zapier doesn't know where that server is at to integrate with it.
I don't even think it's where it's at. I mean, it's publicly available. It's hosted by GitHub.
Really? I thought
Thomas,
you
have
thought
some
the whole thing was
experience with the GitHub Enterprise thing.
Isn't that
is that
local?
a public?
I thought that was the whole point about it.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was too. It
GitHub
was like your own
Enterprise is
server.
local.
Is it local?
Yeah.
Even if it is
yeah, but-
local, if you could
But
just,
Zapier doesn't know where to hit it.
if you
would
could
have to
tell
split
Zapier, here's the URL. Say, hey, this is a GitHub Enterprise server. Here's the URL.
That's not how Zapier works. Zapier works with established APIs that it knows where it's at.
It's one more field, one more entry field. It's an established API. It's just one more entry field. I didn't realize it was hosted locally. I thought it was something that GitHub was hosting for you, like as a service. I didn't realize it was something that you were managing. I'm surprised to hear that.
So I have a question for both of you. You guys are running external GPUs still?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're both running NVIDIA external GPUs.
Okay.
Yes.
So why could I hear that ginormous jet flying over your head when the technology exists now to remove these sounds with AI?
Well, is that for any NVIDIA? I saw you guys talking about this earlier.
It is.
What are you talking about? I did not see it.
NVIDIA Voice, GTX Voice. I'm sorry, RTX Voice.
All right, I'm gonna have to see if this is actually an NVIDIA card now. You have me questioning it, to be honest.
It is.
It is.
I know it is.
It is.
It's a Radeon RX Vega.
That is not an NVIDIA card.
Could have sworn it was.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I did the about this Mac, and for graphics it says a Radeon RX Vega, and then it has the Intel just the normal Intel graphics chip. Right,
Well, apparently it doesn't work on Mac either yet.
well,
But the demos have been coming out from this thing, and it is stunning.
yeah.
People having their kids screaming behind them and having conversations over Skype that sound like there's nobody there at all. Really, really impressive stuff. And our Canadian friend has tested it out and agrees that it is a very impressive system.
Are you gonna order one of these video cards?
No. Now, you don't need the high-end card. You can get a $60 card that'll do this.
But It sounded like
no,
there was
no
a butt
buts.
coming in there.
No, there's no buts there. It uses
Oh.
any RTX compatible card. So as long as it's got Tegra processor built into it, then it will work. And I guess it's AI based, and it isolates the sound of the person speaking, and it eliminates 100% of everything else, to the point where it can't pick up keyboard clicks or people yelling across the house or dogs barking. The sounds that you would normally think would make it through, like sharp sounds or people yelling in another room. These sounds that aren't normally caught by noise canceling stuff anyways, this program gets rid of them.
It's interesting that they came out with this exactly at the time, like 90% of the workforce has dove into working from home and having to do Zoom meetings.
Well, here's the smart thing about that. I believe that this was a test project, some kind of beta thing that they were going to release it when it was finished, or when or they were just going to bury it into something else and not care about it, some kind of audio suite that they produce. You just never worry about it, because it's not a moneymaker for them until the fact that when this quarantine ends, people are going to start deciding to stay at home. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to me, not that they released it now, but that they had the foresight to say, I bet you when this all ends, laptop sales are going to go through the roof. Companies
so I'm confused. Is it a hardware thing or is it a software thing?
It's a software thing that takes use. It's a software thing that takes use of the hardware architecture in NVIDIA's cards. So it is both.
Gotcha.
What people don't realize is that the compute processors on video cards, for the same reason that they're really good at running Bitcoin mining, is that they're very, very simple, but there's lots of them and they're fast. So you can build AI around this specialized architecture that just doesn't exist in a normal CPU. Something that would take a CPU to render 3 days can render at 20 FPS on a GPU, just because the architecture is so different.
I should work for a week without my external GPU and just see if there's a difference. Like, I felt like when I first got the external GPU, there was, and even today. Now, this is a hard statement to make because when I got the external GPU, I also had gotten a new Mac. But the Mac I'm on right now has been more stable for me than any Mac I've ever had in the past. That includes beach balling. I mean, typically, having apps beach ball on a Mac was pretty common. Macs in general were pretty solid. They would rarely crash. They would crash from time to time. But beach balling is what you would get with a lot of apps. And I still get it on an occasion, but it has been cut back dramatically with the external GPU. But I couldn't tell you if it's really faster. Like editing the podcast. I mean, I don't edit the video podcast, but I edit the audio. And that definitely seems like it's smoother to do now. Like making edits, moving things around, seems to be pretty flawless. I don't know. I've lost sight of if having the external GPU is beneficial or not. But I'm kind of to the point where I don't want to know what it's like not to have it. But I would be curious to not use it for a little while just to see.
I should try because I find myself not disconnecting my laptop as much because it's a pain to shut it down, to disconnect it, to move.
Yeah. That's the biggest complaint I have as well.
I can tell you
that was a bigger deal when I was going from home to the office and home to the office. Now that I'm home all the time, it doesn't affect me.
I can tell you, Audacity is unaware of hardware cards.
Oh. I don't know. I'm just telling you, like, the experience I had. Audacity doesn't crash for me. Like, Audacity was a perfect example. That thing would crash for me on a fairly regular basis. but it doesn't crash for me anymore. I don't know if it's the upgrades that I've made to Audacity or what, but Gishu's asking me what I have scrolling behind me. This is a Click or Laclia or something. I'll put it in the show notes. You know, I'm going to rearrange my office. We're actually shutting down our business office, and when I bring my work desk home, I'm actually going to move stuff around. So hopefully you'll be able to see that better. But you're right. It actually scrolls through Gishu. It shows my Twitter followers. Which, if you want to be nice, like, let's do an experiment. If you're listening to the show and you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me, and numbers will increase.
His username is @JohnCongdon.
At Shogun.
JOHNCONGDON.
At Real Rideout.
But yes, it's giving me some, like, right there. It's telling me
can
the
block me
meteors.
too.
It's showing the meteors that are in our orbit. It shows me my Twitter followers. It shows me our YouTube subscribers for PHP Ugly. It's just kind of scrolling through. That's a date. It's kind of hard to see. But when I rearrange the office, I'm thinking that I'm going to actually move my desk that I have here to the side and have a back wall right behind me. So maybe you guys will be able to see that easier. But it's a cool little device to have. I like having it. We used to have it in the office. It would welcome people into the office.
Is that why I wasn't there? I went to the office yesterday, and I was like, where did that thing go? As I stole my this chair and a bunch of other stuff out of the office.
You need to look around. Like things have been slowly disappearing out of there. I've taken home, like, my mugs and all that other stuff. Yeah.
My kids got a kick out of it. I took the kids there yesterday. They got a kick out of the one wheel as I was riding it around.
You got the one kid that looks like he's a skateboard fiend, man. He'd be perfect for that thing.
Oh my gosh. He tried. I mean, their feet aren't big enough. Like, I put my older kid, who's not a skateboard fiend, on that thing, and he just... he would move his foot just a tiny bit, and you could hear the motor engage for, like, a quick second and then turn right off. So I don't know what he was doing wrong. And then my little one, who's the skateboard fiend, he's too little. His feet just wouldn't fit.
Right, because it does have sensors that your feet need to be big enough to hit both. And you know what? Right. In hindsight, that thing probably would move too quickly for them. I mean, I think it goes like 20, 25 miles an hour.
I was holding them. I wasn't going to let them go.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, just to be fair, it was right there.
Yeah, it's a whole thing when your kid takes off at 20 miles an hour.
So it seemed like we just got that office a few months ago. We've actually had it for 16 months. It was an 18-month lease that is coming to an end, and we are not going to renew.
I mean, in the last 2 months, we haven't been able to use it because of the lockdown, and that's going to continue for a while. The reality of it is, we didn't really need it. It's been nice. I mean, it's been like a perk. We've had plenty of clients and potential clients come to the office for meetings. What the heck was that?
He was perking.
But the real
That's a reference to a bunch of episodes ago.
The real reason we got it was to give the developers a place to come to and work, and that just never, the developers, it just never caught on with them. They would come in for...
It did at first. When we first got it, because we were talking to them about it, everyone seemed on board. We got the office, they were in there for a little while, and that slowly kind of faded away.
And the reality of it is, I really just have been, I mean, even John had cut back his weekly visits to the office to just a couple of days a week. So it's nice to have, but it's just an expense we don't need.
It's a 20 to 25 minute drive for me.
Which say that like that's not a normal drive for people who go to work. I mean, that's the thing that kills me.
When you don't have to. That's the key. When you don't have to. Yeah. For you, it's a 5-minute drive.
Keep rubbing that in my face like I should feel guilty about it. I don't.
No, I don't think you should. But I have a very separate space for my office space. Mm-hmm. So when I work during the day, not only do I have my separate office, but to get to my office, there's a separate room that's not used. So I have no distractions unless I get up to go get a snack or whatever. Then I run into the family. I can say hi, but outside of that, they leave me alone. I'm in an office. For you, you're in a shared space, so it is harder for you to focus, get stuff done. So that's the difference to me.
Yeah, that's actually a big difference though for me. I like the office. I like
I have to see how I have this closet built out as an office space. Put up a little drywall, you're good to go.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the deal with the office, Gishu. Thanks for asking. Gishu says I've been out of the truck for that long. Oh wow! I didn't realize you're no longer trucking, Gishu. In my head, you've always been trucking, man. Or are you saying you've been out on the road for that long? I'm confused. Maybe I misread that. I don't know.
Hey Thomas, while he's waiting for that response, for the first time today, I've actually I researched and will not buy, but thought about buying a gaming PC.
Ooh.
How much did it come to?
What do you mean? Cost-wise?
Yeah, how much was it?
I watched a Sunless Khan video, and he had an advertisement for one, and I think it was like $1,200 or $1,300 for the gaming PC.
Oh. And
it was a giveaway he did, and then he did a whole video where this kid only played on a console, which I play on what is this? A Nintendo Switch.
Switch, yes.
So I'm playing on a console. And this kid went up like 2 ranks in Rocket League.
I went up a rank because I got a new TV.
I'm like,
I got a
do
120
I
hertz TV.
Gaming PC?
Listen, you could get a killer gaming PC for $400, maybe $500, and it would be more than you would expect. That the $1,200 stuff is.
But I paid that for a Switch. I should be getting the same performance out of that. Because that's the only thing I use this stupid Switch for.
The Switch is like a 1/4 inch thick. I'm getting games for my wife for the Switch now because she's stuck at home. I did something insanely dangerous yesterday.
What is that?
I upgraded my version of Ubuntu to the latest version. Like the latest full version number.
Syntax C was just talking about this. What did you upgrade from? That's the big question.
I upgraded from, what do they call it? Daffy Duck. Boy, I can't even tell you what it was. It was Xenial.
Okay. What number was that, though?
1604.
I think that's where Syntax Seed is. Sherry, if you're listening, pay attention. So, you upgraded.
I upgraded from Xenial to Focal Fossa, which is 20.04. Eon Airmine 19.10. That's what I'm running now. And my computer, the screen turned black during the upgrade. And it didn't like reboot or anything. The screen just shut off. And I let it sit there and just sort of waited. And eventually got tired of waiting and did a hard reboot on it. And it came back up and everything worked except for Alt-Tab, which I had to go in and rebind. But everything else worked.
So
that's kind of important for it to work. How does that not work out of the box?
That's never happened before, though. With a major release upgrade of Ubuntu, I've always had some kind of troubles, like trying to find the right desktop environment because it switched over to one that's not compatible with my laptop, or my barrier or synergy stops working, or settings just get lost and don't work.
So can I ask? I mean, Laravel is notoriously great for just being able to back up some config files and then doing a fresh install and restoring your config files and kind of being back to where you were. Is there a reason you decided to go the upgrade path and not just do a fresh install? You're muted.
You're yeah.
Yeah, that takes a whole couple days to get my environment back up to where it was.
Really? I mean, not to question you. I totally believe you, but the experience I always had is I could almost literally just back up my home directory, restore my home directory, and just be off and running. Because
yeah, not me.
Yeah, that's because I also kept track of the packages I installed.
Yeah, anyways, and you're on a Mac.
No, I'm saying when I was on Linux. I don't know if I could. I mean, I could do that. I do that now on Mac. Yeah, I do that. That's because everything I have goes to Dropbox. So yeah, you're right. I do that on Mac. But yeah, Linux is the first place I got to experience that. It was such a shift from what I was used to in the Windows world. That yeah, I just backed up my home directory.
Well, was that on a desktop or a laptop though?
Well, I don't know. I think mostly desktops, probably a couple laptops at the time. I'm not sure.
Laptop compatibility is the thing that I see breaking all the time.
Oh.
The other thing I see is third-party support for video cards often breaks during upgrades.
Well, if you upgrade, that's again why you would do a fresh install. But yeah, whatever. I mean, if it worked for you, like I said, I know Sherry Syntax Seed was just talking about this. I think today, maybe on Twitter. So if you want to go check out her stream, Thomas, you probably give her some advice. I don't know where that conversation ended, but I didn't contribute to it at all. But yeah. Now, ironically enough, I did something I never do based on this conversation. I upgraded one of our servers. So we've been doing a lot of experimenting with Couch. And on the server, this is a DiegoDev server that we have out in DigitalOcean. On the server I was using for Couch, I wanted to get the latest and greatest PHP on it. And I was looking at ways to upgrade PHP, but Couch 3 was also released, and I wanted Couch 3. And so I'm like, well, at this point, I didn't have a lot running on the box. I'm like, I should just upgrade everything, just upgrade the OS and everything. And I was pretty confident that I was going to hose the machine. Like, I had really prepared to hose the machine, because I already knew what I needed to do to restart it. Because this one machine happens to not be part of my Forge account. So I'm like, okay, if I hose this, I'll spin up another one with Forge, and I won't even, I won't miss a step, because we don't have any client stuff on it. It's just for internal use, and like I said, for like this Couch database server and all this other stuff. And it worked. I mean, it's a machine that's on DigitalOcean. That was the other thing. DigitalOcean, we just talked about at the beginning of the show, had snapshots. So if I had to, I could roll it back to a snapshot. But I really wasn't that concerned about it. But yeah, I upgraded the machine. I did a distribution upgrade over SSH. And it even told me at one point, it's like, okay, we're getting ready to upgrade SSH. There's a chance this connection might get lost. If it does get lost, we're going to spin up another SSH server for you on this other port. Just connect to this until the upgrade is finished. And it didn't get lost. I mean, the SSH connection stayed with the machine, so I don't know how that magic happened. But yeah, it worked great. I tell you, it's the strides Linux has taken over the years, and on the servers, it's just forget about it, right? I don't know why anybody would not run Linux as their server anymore, but the strides Linux has taken over the years in the rock-solid migration paths it has now. It's impressive. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I've built Gentoo from the ground up, what they call a stage 3.
Yep.
I've dealt with Sun. I've dealt with Red Hat. Before it was Fedora. Dealt with Fedora, and it's
CentOS.
Yeah, it's Linux is stronger now than it's ever been, and I think when Microsoft switches over to Linux, we're really going to see the future.
I told you to go over to Twitter, and this actually kind of plays in the conversation we had earlier, John. Although I don't know if you would take advantage of this. Twitter implemented a new feature that I wasn't aware of. But now in Twitter, if somebody replies to your tweet and you don't like their reply, you can now delete or hide their reply from the public stream.
I was going to say, if you tell him about blocking, that's an awful smarmy. He knows about blocking.
You can block people you don't like their replies, John. Did you know that? No, you can now like hide replies. So I assume the person who posted it still sees the reply. So maybe that it reduces that friction, but everybody else in the world doesn't see the reply on your stream. I don't know what happens if somebody goes to a user account who has a hidden reply somewhere and they're checking that user's stream out if they see it or not. That would be interesting to know. But yeah, I went to pull up a stream and it says, hey, if you don't like any of the people replying to you, just hide it from everybody else. I'm like, huh, that's interesting.
So censorship, yeah.
Censorship.
I don't understand.
Censorship.
I don't agree with this person. Don't let anybody else see it. I guess it works for trolls. I guess that'd be a good use case for that.
Yeah, like you'll never see Thomas reply to Taylor on the public stream ever again. I can almost promise you.
It'll always be hidden.
That's because I wait for John to reply.
That's never gonna happen.
Well, not anymore. He's testing out that blocking feature.
You got to contribute to his Patreon now to get unblocked to see his tweets.
Yeah.
I had a switching topics. I had a friend on Facebook who I believe is from my PHP circles share this wealth shown to scale website.
Oh God, that stuff is always so disturbing.
It is freaking amazing.
Because people don't understand what a billion is.
Right.
And I keep trying to explain it to people.
So this will show you like a single pixel is $1,000, and then it shows you what this little pixel is of your average income, and then like what you can expect to make in your lifetime compared to first Jeff Bezos and what he has. And you're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling his wealth. And then it gets to, but here's the wealth of just 400 people in the United States. 400. And then throughout the entire scrolling, you're seeing little bits of data. What could you do with just 3% of the wealth of these 400 people? As you get near the end, it's what could you do with 85% of their money? 85% of just 400 people's money. You could give $10,000 to every American. You can test every American for coronavirus. You could eradicate malaria, all of these other things. And those 400 people would still be billionaires.
Yeah, people don't understand the exponential rate that billions versus trillions work on. Like if you stacked up $1 billion in $1 bills, how far do you think it would reach?
It's a good site to just kind of visualize what's going on. It's sad.
To Thomas's point last week.
And
I was just going to say, to Thomas's point last week, if it makes you feel any better, nobody works that hard. Nobody works as hard to become a billionaire.
I am amazed I did not get flame ward on that.
Because you're right. I mean, the more I thought about it, the more right you were, right? It's like...
You can't earn $1 billion. It's not a workable element. It just occurs.
Yeah, you get lucky, like you said. You get lucky. Things work out for you. You know, maybe your hard work contributes to that luck, but at some point, luck factors in. It's just like baseball or any professional sport. You can get so good. At some point, luck is going to play into it. You have to play for the right high school coach who can introduce you to the right college coach who will get you in front of the right scouts. It's, that the days of scouts walking a dirt road and coming across some kid playing, against a wall with a basketball and drafting them, it's not a reality anymore. There's a certain amount of luck and chance that factors into it, and the same thing goes to becoming million and billionaires. I'm convinced of that.
Yeah.
But going back to that story just real quick, it ends because nobody's going to scroll all the way to the end. And actually, scrolling, it's only like 10% of the way through where it ends. It says, these programs combined would completely transform our world. By redistributing this wealth, millions of lives would be saved, billions would be rescued from poverty and disease. By inconveniencing just 400 people, the entire human race could advance to a new, unprecedented level of development.
Don't forget,
again, I haven't
researched 1%.
I haven't researched any of this data, so I don't know how true it is, but just that alone,
I think it's
400 people compared to 7 billion people on this earth.
But it's funny if especially if you're one of those people, how they were taking billions of dollars away from these people is just a inconvenience.
It's funny how those people will consider you dying to work for them an inconvenience.
Yeah. I mean, the reality of it is, what did you say it was, 10%, John? 10% of their wealth? The billions, was it, did you say it was 10%?
85% of the entire wealth would cure and do so much for the human race, and they would still be billionaires.
I don't know how to equate that to our salaries, but my point was going to be, would you be willing to give up, if you knew giving up 10% of your wealth would allow 3 families to live above the poverty line, would you be willing to do that? I mean, if like when these questions
as a business, we already give a lot to charity for things just like that.
Yes, and the trick that the ultra rich have succeeded playing on us is trying to make some equivalency between our struggles and theirs.
That's not what I'm trying to do. I just try to scale it, right? I mean,
right.
I am like, I'm throwing numbers out there. Again, this is not the article John posted or anything I read, but the people who say just 10% of Jeff Bezos's net worth would give everybody wouldn't have to work for a year or something like that, or give everybody $5,000 or whatever the number is. I think to myself, I'm like, well, would I be willing to sacrifice 10% of my wealth for anything? Like I said, for like 3 families I didn't know, I had no association with, I would not benefit from them receiving 10% of my wealth. Would I be willing to make that sacrifice? And I know it's probably not a fair comparison because, again, Jeff Bezos is still a billionaire, so it's not a true scale thing. I don't know, man. It's a tough thing. It's first thing. Having the government redistribute wealth is a scary, scary, terrifying thing to think of.
No, So I wasn't saying that the government should go in and take their wealth away. It's just
Who would
it's
do
a
it?
point of. I'm not saying anybody needs them. It's just a fact that there's a small group of people that control so much of the wealth. Like, couldn't we come
Yeah.
together somehow and like
John's just
not
trying to
have
say,
that?
did you know that you can look up guillotine tutorials on YouTube?
What?
The problem is somebody else inherits that money, and then you're not solving anything.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is the Reagan tax cuts, which when there was a tax rate in the area of the 70th percentile for the top earners, and that got dropped down to the area of 20-ish or 30-ish percent, the government lost basically all funding for all federal programs, and we've never recovered from it.
So we did have a viewer that pointed out that the wealth that I was just referring to is not necessarily in cash. It'd require whole industries to disappear. I haven't researched that data. I don't know where those figures come from and what is included in their wealth calculations.
I mean, if it's like the current stock price of Amazon, like in Jeff Bezos' case, yeah, I mean, that wealth could just as easily diminish just as quickly as it grows. But yeah, good point. Listen, I just looked up at the clock. It's 10:20, and I promised the wife I was going to drive her to the beach tonight so we can watch glowing algae splash against our shoreline. It's something I want to take advantage of while I still live here
Yes.
in San Diego. So,
Fun
We're
fact,
gonna-
they only glow when they die.
we're gonna ride. Just 10% of them are dying. Okay, that's all that takes to glow the entire coast. All right, they're not selfish. We're gonna wrap this up. I appreciate everybody who's been listening to us for this long. I do. We appreciate our Patreon. John got me into Patreon this week, so I'm actually in there again. I did notice we owe some perks for people. So Syntax Seed is actually one of the people we owe perks for. So I will be going through.
I feel like I have to do that now for some reason.
I think it's a bit. I mean, only people who have been with us for a long time will understand it. But I will be going through Patreon, figure out who is at that perk level, and try to get some packages out in the next couple of weeks. All of the stuff is at the office, so I actually need to go in the office and get it all. But if you have been contributing to Patreon and you've been contributing toward the perk levels, I apologize. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've been able to get in there, and we appreciate you. And I will show you how much we appreciate you by sending you stickers and stuff. So that will be coming your way. We appreciate it. If you're not a Patreon person, it doesn't matter. You get stickers and stuff. But honestly, if you ever run into me at a conference, I'll give you that stuff as well. But we do appreciate our Patreons. So if you do want to become a Patreon, patreon.com/phpugly, and we would be sure to thank you. Besides that, I think that's it. I think that's going to do it. This has been episode 188 of PHP Ugly.
That was a good episode.
I'm Eric.
Good episode.
I'm Tom.
I'm John.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
Dude, I didn't even realize how late we're running.
I know. I was surprised when John had more to say when we were at the hour mark.
I didn't.
I'm sorry. I knew I should shut up.
No. It jarred me that Trello card was yours. Alright. Okay, you guys, if you guys want to hang out, you can't, because I'm going to stop the stream, because I gotta take my lovely wife to the coast. But
Stop your recordings.
Thank you for listening and watching us, and check out the audio podcasts if you want a cleaner version. Or not cleaner. We still say bad fucking words, but we do take out some of the ums, ands, and a lot of the empty spaces. Which reminds me, John, I'll let the people who are sticking around hear this. On both PHP Podcast and PHP Ugly, I edited both those this past weekend, and I go back through and listen to the podcast after it's been published. And when I was editing it, I gotta say I didn't notice it that much, but I've automated the editing process where Audacity will take out the truncate silent areas of the podcast. For some reason, it's only you, John, and it happened in both the interview on PHP podcast with Sherry, the PHP podcast with Oscar, and our podcast last week. Near the end of the podcast, it really got bad, but like you just kept cutting off. Like you were talking and then
you have to adjust the gain. That means that his mic has too much noise on it. So you have to normalize all 3 channels first, adjust the gain, and then do truncate silence.
Adjust the gain. Is that the little knob on the left, the volume knob?
Yeah, but that doesn't account for the plugin. The plugin won't care about that, so you'll have to adjust the gain and re-export his file.
Okay, I'll try that.
Or
so my gain is too high.
No, your gain is too low, so your background noise is blending in with your speaking voice when you start sentences and stop sentences. So if you do a normalize and reduce background noise first, that should cover most of it. Okay. And then truncate silence once all 3 tracks are closest to each other.
Okay, I'll give that a shot. I figured there's something I could do. I was trying to remember if I was even normalizing his stream. Like when I was listening to it, I'm like, shit, maybe I didn't normalize his stream, and that's what the problem was. So I'll give it another shot. It was weird though, because when I was editing it, like I heard it a couple times, but it didn't seem that bad. But then when I went back and listened to it, it really got bad. But I also sent it through that service that Aphonics.
Oh yeah.
Whatever it's called. I don't know if that's doing anything. Like it almost seemed like maybe that's doing some truncating as well. I don't know. I just realized I've had my fan on this whole time, so that's going to be fun.
Stop Zencaster.
Yeah, stop Zencaster.
By the way.
Thank you.
Just remember that when you're doing normalize, you have to select all 3 tracks at once.
Oh,
you don't normalize. Yeah, normalize does a comparison of the levels of all 3 tracks and makes them match each other.
Oh, what an idiot! All right.
So normalizing a single track won't do anything because it's nothing to normalize against.
Oh God, I've been doing that wrong this whole time. All right, I will do that this weekend. That's probably the biggest issue I have. All right, cool. All right, again, thank you for listening. I'm gonna stop the stream now.
Yes, thank you.
Good night, all.